Okay, so let's now start with DigitalOcean and use the link in the description, and you will get $10 to get started with the DigitalOcean. So similarly, you can see I have used that link, and now if I go and sign up, you will see I have $10 credit applied to my account once I register here. So let's now register here. So I will give one of my email ID and gmail.com and then a secure password. That's it. Now sign up, and while it's sign up, let's open a new tab to have Gmail, because obviously we are going to get an confirmation email from DigitalOcean. So now you can see DigitalOcean is now asking you to confirm your email. So now if I go to my Gmail, and yes, we have this, and let's click on this link so that we can verify our DigitalOcean account. So now account is verified, and you can see you have $10 in credit via referral. So that's how you can get that $10. So now you have to apply a billing information. That means simply you can either add your card or PayPal account. And don't worry about that until and unless you will use their service. That means create the droplet, that means the server. If you are not going to create, they will not going to charge you anything, and they are totally trustable. So I'm going to just fill out these things and then I will come back. So now after completing the verification of the payment detail and fully activating our DigitalOcean account, it's now time to create a new droplet. So to create a droplet, you just have to log in, and the first page will give you to create droplet button. Let's click on this, and a fish is doing something. Okay, so here you can choose distributions, that means the operating system you want to use. So let's use Ubuntu. Okay, and then the configuration of your server. So that has many options, and you can see it's 0.007 per hour. That means if you use it and try it, destroy it somewhat in an hour, you will just going to charge 0.007. That's super, that's so cheap. And if you're going to use it for your real project, I think for a normal project $5 per month is okay. But obviously if you need in the future, you don't have to do anything, just change your settings via here, and they will, without doing anything, they will upgrade your DigitalOcean server. Okay, so this is good. So let's use this one, $5 a month, and then we have to choose the data center. Choose the data center as the nearest to your targeted audience. So I'm using Bangalore because I'm from India, and that's why. But you can choose it very carefully. Then I don't want any kind of these things, but SSH key, we will see this later, and how we can log into DigitalOcean via this, and everything is set up, and they has named it Ubuntu 5.12 something. You can choose anything you want. So let's say Bitfumes tutorial. Okay, so this is good, but invalid host name. Okay, so give a hyphen, they will not allow spaces. So let's create, and in a no time you can see it will start creating. It will take some time to configure, to install the Ubuntu on your account, various things, so we have to wait for that. And in just few minutes it's now completed, and you can see it says created, and you are awesome. Yeah, you are always awesome. So to have these things, to have the configuration of this server, we get an email. So let's now again go to Gmail. So here you can see we have DigitalOcean emails. This one is the Bitfumes tutorial we have just created. So this is the IP address, this is the username, and here is the password. Don't try to log in with these credentials, because I'm going to delete this server as soon as this tutorial completes. Okay, so we can now use these credentials to log into our account. So let's just go to terminal, and on this terminal we have to just say SSH, then root, that means the username, which is root, you can see here, and then root at 139.59.20.85. so this is the SSH and the IP address. Now hit enter, and now you can say first time, because we are using this, so it says we have to continue that. Are you sure you want to continue with this IP address? Is it secure? So I will say yes, and that's okay. Now it's asking for password, so simple is the password, very easy, and paste it. You will not get because I'm on Mac and I can't see the password because it's also hidden, but trust me, I have pasted that password. So hit enter, and you can see finally we are inside our server. And the first time you log in, server will ask you to change your password. Obviously I will change my password. Firstly we have to give the current password, then we can create new password. So let's give current password and then new password. This is the new password once more, and superb. So you can see root at bitfumes-tutorial. This is the server name we have configured, and congratulations, you have successfully logged in to your server via SSH. So this is supremely cool. But you can see you have now hash. But if I log out from here, I will say exit. If I am on localhost, that means I am using terminal for my computer, then we have the dollar here. And if I go on the server and the new password, then you can see we have the hash. And if you are not getting that, if you are using Windows, I highly recommend you to go and download git bash. So you have to say just git, you just have to search for git, and you can download git from here. And even that, if you want, you can download github also give you the git bash. One of the ways you can get the git bash, that will be cool for using all these things. I recommend that, so go and catch that. In this episode we are going to create the SSH key and also going to restrict the login from the root, and we will create a new user to enhance the security of our server. So let's see how we can create that. I am on the server, I have already logged in here, and then I will create a new tab here. To create SSH key, you have to type SSH-key gen. Then you have to specify the type or the encryption. One is ED25519, other is RSA. I think there is something DSA. I'm going to use RSA because it is quite famous. Then we have to provide how many bytes you want to give. So I will say 4096 because 1024 multiplied by 4 is 4096. And then the C flag as an identifier. So I will say server. That's nice. It's creating the file, and here it's asking for new name. I have already id underscore RSA, so I can't create that. It will override that, and now I have to create a new one. So I will paste the whole path, then I will say id underscore server. So passphrase, I'm not going to give any kind of passphrase. It will enhance one more layer of security by giving the passphrase for your SSH key. With SSH key, you can only log in from your computer, where the private SSH key is placed on your computer. So this will enhance one more security. One security is that no one can log in from SSH key other than your computer. But if your computer can be accessed by many people, you want to restrict login, then over SSH key there is passphrase. So I'm not going to give that. That's okay. And you can see the SSH key is created. To see where SSH key is placed, I will go to cd, then .ssh folder, and list out everything, and you can see we have id underscore server and id underscore server .pub. .pub stands for public one, and this key we will go and share with other server or other services. Like this server we will go and share with that, and then when we connect via SSH key to any other service whom we have given the public key, it will match with private key and then provide you the access. So let's now cat id underscore server .pub. Remember to copy .pub, and I will pipe it with pb copy, so it will open and copy in the clipboard. So we have that on our clipboard, and now on the root of this server I will say ll to list out everything, and you can see we have this .ssh, and this time I will go inside ssh, so .ssh, and once more authorized key we have. So let's open this authorized key with vim. So we will say vim auth and press tab to auto complete this, and now paste that. First s is not there, so go at the top, type s, and then press escape colon wq. wq stands for save and quit. Okay, so hit enter and it's configured. So this means if I now exit from here, and you can see I'm on Mac, so now if I try to log in with SSH only, so SSH then hyphen identifier is inside .ssh and id underscore server, and I don't have to provide pub because pub for public, and we are going to say okay, match with this private key. Okay, then root at and IP address, which is 139.59.95.200. okay, that's good, and try to hit enter and see the magic. You can see we have bypassed the password layer. That means we don't have to provide the password for logging into this user, and that's good. But you will say, Sarthak, that's easy way, but what the big benefit of using SSH key? To show that thing, I will create a new user, and what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to restrict the login with the root. I'm trying to restrict login with the password. You can see we can log in with SSH key or with the password we have for this user. So we will restrict both of these things and only allow the new user we will create with SSH key. So let's say add user, and username is Bitfumes, and it asking for new password for Bitfumes user. So let's give the password and some details, but I'm not going to give any detail, and that's it. This means I can go to this Bitfumes user. So sudo stands for administrator. This means the command you are going to run is as an admin, as an administrator. So switch user, so su sudo su Bitfumes, and you can see we have now changed the user. So let's go to base path. Okay, and now if I try to go back to root, sudo su switch user to root, okay, it's asking for password. But here is the problem. You can see we cannot run any sudo command because Bitfumes user is not a sudoer. Not a sudoer means it's not an admin again. So let's make Bitfumes as a sudoer. So exit from here and we will land on root user. So let's say user mod -a, then g, then we have to say admin and which user we want to provide as admin. So Bitfumes. Great, nothing happens. It look like nothing happens, but if I now try to say sudo su Bitfumes, and yes, that's okay, and again sudo su root, and with the password you can see we have switched to root user. So let's once more go to Bitfumes user and configure the SSH key. So if I try to see, there is no .ssh folder. If there is not .ssh folder, there will be no authorized key file. So let's create mkdir.ssh directory. So go inside .ssh, we are on .ssh folder. Okay, and now here I will create a new file called authorized, and remember Z on the authorized, not S, and then keys, and remember S in the keys plural. Okay, open this and we have to paste that file we have. So once more copy this from here, paste it, and similarly one more S, escape, colon wq, enter, and yes. So let's exit from here, once more exit from here, once more exit from here. Why this kind of exits? As we have switched between the user, we have to log out between the users similarly. So once more exit, and okay. So now I will say ssh with the identifier of .ssh id underscore server and not .pub. We don't have to provide pub. Then this time bitfumes at 139 dot and what that 59.95.200. Easy. Okay, let's try to log in, and you can see we have logged in as a Bitfumes user without providing any kind of password. But how we will restrict the login with password, and how we will restrict any type of login from root, because root also can log in with SSH key. So let's now open as a sudo vim, and then we have to say etc, then ssh, then sshd underscore config. Okay, provide the password. Yeah, this file. So if I scroll down, you can see there is permit root login. So I will say this as no. To go into insert mode, I will press I and no. Then again go to the bottom, and here is the new thing, password authentication. So here also no. This means we have restricted the login with password, also restricted the any kind of login with root. So press escape colon wq, save and quit, and that's good. So exit from here, and we are on our Mac. Then let's try ssh root at 139.59.95.200. I remember this, great. And then hit enter, and it's asking for password. Why is that? We have done everything correct. So let's go inside the server and do one thing to have everything done. So go inside. Okay, we just have to do one thing. Every time you change any kind of configuration to any kind of service, you have to restart that service as a sudo. So sudo service, and service is ssh, and just say restart, and done. This means if I now try to log in, you can see it's not asking for password, it says permission denied. Similarly, if I say ssh bitfumes at 139.59.95.200, it's also restricted. But here is the cool part, we can still log in with bitfumes as the ssh. Similarly, if I try to log in with ssh to root, let's see what happened. It's not asking you, it's not giving you permission to go to server, because we have told the ssh that restrict any kind of login from root. This means only way to go to server is via ssh key to bitfumes user. So this is great functionality and great enhancement in our server security. So let's now see how we can upload or how we can deploy Laravel app on this server. To have Laravel, we firstly need PHP, then we need Nginx, then we also need MySQL as a database, and more importantly, we need Git. So let's see how we can deal with these things. So what we have to do, we have to run every command as a sudo. So to have softwares on your Ubuntu server, there is a package manager called apt-get. So apt-get is like a composer or npm node package manager. It will manages your packages or the softwares. So firstly, what we have to do, we have to say apt-get update. So first time we will see an update. So let's hit enter, and it will update everything we have already on our Ubuntu server. So apt-get is updated, and firstly, to install PHP, we have to firstly check what PHP version Ubuntu gives, because Ubuntu already have PHP. So to see that, we have to say sudo apt, then cache, then search for PHP. Let's search for PHP, and then you will see we have, yes, you can see at the bottom we have PHP 7.0, or we can just say PHP-v to get the PHP version. We have PHP 7.0. So how we will install PHP or the latest PHP? So to install latest PHP, we have to say sudo apt get PHP 7.2 -cli. Let's see what will be the result. CLI. It says PHP 7.2 -cli doesn't recognize as an invalid operator. Okay, so what we have to do? Firstly, we have to install a repository. So again, sudo add apt repository, and what that repository is, a PPA repository, and name is onDredge/PHP. It will provide lots of PHP packages, so make sure you will provide apt spelling right. Okay, and now it will ask you to continue, then hit enter to say yes, and this time you can get lots of PHP versions. So again I will say sudo apt cache search for PHP, and then you will see we must have somewhere PHP 7.2, but it's not here because we just have to update our apt get. So once more, sudo apt get update, and let's see what we are going to get. So here in just a few seconds we get one problem. It says launchpad.net is not there. We have to install that first here. So once more, sudo apt get, and we have to install a repository, so not get, apt add repository. You can do add apt or apt add as you want, and then this one. And don't worry about this, I will paste these things in the description, so you don't have to remember or see what I am typing and then you have to type. You can just copy and paste from the description. So we have installed that, so let's install. This is okay. This repository we have installed to install our launchpad. So sudo apt get and launchpad-get keys. This is the software we have to install. So let's hit enter. This is because we have to say here install. Okay, so install launchpad keys. Now it's installing and it's done. No, unable to locate package. If you face this kind of problem, once more you can do apt get update. So it will update these things, and again obviously we have error for that repository, PPA repository. So now let's try to install launchpad once more, and this time it is successful. And now what we have to do, we have to say sudo and then launchpad get keys, and it is now getting that key and everything is good. This means if I now update, we will not get any kind of error for like this. Okay, so let's now once more update. Lots of time we have to update. So successfully done, and this means if I say sudo apt cache search PHP, and we should get PHP 7.2. This means we can install anything related to PHP 7.2. So now let's install PHP 7.2. So sudo apt get install, and I'm going to give y flag so that it will not ask are you sure you want to install like that. So PHP 7.2, and firstly the CLI, then PHP 7.2 FPM, then PHP 7.2 once more. Here comes MB string. Okay, and then PHP 7.2, and here is MySQL. So MySQL, then PHP 7.2 curl, and then comes PHP 7.1, not 2, because 7.2 mcrypt is depreciated. So 7.1 mcrypt, because Laravel need mcrypt. Okay, so everything is set up. Let's now hit enter and let's see what information we are getting. It's installing everything, each and everything. And now our PHP is successfully installed. So let's see. I will say php-v, and this time it's not 7.0, it's 7.2 for Ubuntu CLI, and everything is set up. Now we just want to install MySQL server. So sudo apt get install MySQL -server. So it's an easy job and it will download it very soon. So when first time MySQL install, it will ask you to create a new password. So I will say password is 123456. Okay, 123456 once more, and it will then continue its downloading. So now you can see MySQL is successfully installed. So if I say MySQL, then I will say -u for user, which is already root, and then password, and hit enter, and 123456, and you can see we are on MySQL. So if I say show databases and close this line, hit enter, yes, we have the database. So now exit from here. Okay, then what we have to install, sudo apt install, but apt get install Nginx, and that's supremely important thing. So yes, I want to install that. And now Nginx is also completely installed. So if I go to slash let's say ll, then etc slash, and let's visit the list of the things we have. So this time on the etc folder, etc folder, yes, we have Nginx folder. This proves that yeah, we have Nginx. And then the next part, Nginx. After Nginx we need the git, and so install git also, and git is also installed. So to have the git -v, and it says, I think we have to say version, is that double, okay, yeah. So git version is 2.7.4. so git is also installed. One last thing we have to say to install, which is git and then zip and unzip. This is also required by the composer when it downloads the package. And by the way, you can do all these things in a single line. I have just shown you separately the MySQL, then Nginx, then git. You can just simply say zip, unzip, git, then Nginx, then MySQL -server, all these things. Okay, so that will save your time. So zip, unzip, and that's also finishes these things. This time, to have connection between the server and the GitHub via Git to deploy the Laravel app. So let's see how we can do all these things. So I will go in a new terminal and create a new Laravel project, and that inside our desktop. So desktop, and I will say Laravel new deploy, a simple name for a new project. While it's deploying, let's now go to our server, and here on our server I have to create a new SSH key for our GitHub. So I will say SSH -key gen, then type RSA, and as I have told you, there should be ED25519 also, but let's stick with RSA. Then how many byte? 4096. Then identifier, let's say GitHub. Okay, and name is good because on our server we don't have any kind of SSH key, so id underscore RSA name is good. So that's okay, no passphrase, that's nice. And let's now open cat, then .ssh, then id underscore RSA dot pub. We have to copy the public one, so copy this one from here, and let's open GitHub here on new tab, so GitHub, and let's now create a new repository, and I will call it deploy, and I will say deploy Laravel on DigitalOcean. Okay, so that's it. Create repository, and yeah, we have this. So firstly, what we can do before adding this SSH key, you can see our Laravel project is installed. So let's go inside our project, which is deploy, and now we have to say git init, then git add all, then git commit -m, and I will say here initial commit, then git. Now comes here these two commands, so let's run this too, and now this project is on our GitHub. So if I now refresh here, we will see the app is here. Okay, so now let's connect our server with the GitHub via this SSH key. So copy once more, go to settings, deploy keys, add deploy key, call it for tutorial, and then add key. There is an option called allow write access. I don't want to write from server, and I think we never write from server, we always write from localhost. Okay, so add key, that's good, but how we will ensure that it's connected properly? You can see it's nothing written here and nothing written here. So there is a way to check. You will say SSH, then -T, then git at github.com. Let's check this connection, and yeah, you can see it says hey Bitfumes /deploy, because this repository we have connected, you have successfully authenticated. This means if I now go here on GitHub, refresh this page, we should see it is green. This means what we can do, we can now clone this repository. So I will say git clone, and then go here on the deploy, and now use clone with SSH only, then here the address, and then I want to have this clone on this HTML folder. Okay, so hit enter, cloning into HTML folder. Okay, so this will get everything on HTML folder. So if I say cd into HTML, and I will list everything, and you can see we have all these things here. That's nice, that's very nice, but we want to composer update. So if I try to use composer, it will say composer is not installed. To install composer, there's a long script, and that script need curl. So curl, then a small s, then capital S, then I have to say http:// then get composer, and that should be https get composer.org/installer, and then we have to pipe it with sudo php, then double hyphen, then again double hyphen, and then install, and the dir directory, and that should be install hyphen directory is equal to its user, then local slash bin. We have to provide the file name, so file name, which is, we know that it is composer. So let's install this one, and the defined install directory does not exist. Yeah, because we have to say here slash. Okay, now it will continue download. Okay, that's downloading composer, and composer is successfully installed. So if I say composer here, yes, we can see we have the composer here. So now say composer install, and remember I am on HTML directory where we have installed or cloned the repository. Now say install, and there are many kind of problems here. So these problems are, it's trying to install PHP unit, but we know that we are on server, we don't need these dev dependencies. So I will say composer install hyphen hyphen no dev, and this will install only production level packages. And now composer is updated, so let's now change our .env.example file to .env file. So if I list out everything, you can see we don't have any .env file. Instead we have .env.example file. So let's type cp .env.example to .env only, then php artisan, and then we have to say key generate. Yeah, everything is set up for Laravel aspects. Let's now go to server and let's see what we are getting. So this IP is here, and if I go here, we still get Nginx. This means now we need to configure the Nginx. So now the only thing remains is Nginx configuration. So let's again go to terminal, and I am on the server, and inside this HTML folder where I have installed this Laravel app. So let's go to the base user folder, and then we have to configure the Nginx. So now let's go and see how we will configure that. So let's just go to etc folder, then Nginx folder, and list out the contents. We have various contents, but the important one is sites available. So let's now go to sites available, and we have to open this with vim. So sudo vim sites available and password. Okay, so only site is default. So let's now quit from here, and now this means we have to go inside default. Okay, so this means now we are on the configuration of Nginx. So first thing first, you can see it says root is var www, but we want inside http there should be a folder called public, and where I am typing. Okay, to write here we have to first go to insert mode by pressing I, and then say public, and that's good. Then what we need the Nginx to run index.php file, not this one. So index.php file, and then we don't want any 404 if I go IP address slash something else. So let's now see, if I go to any of the URL, it will say not found, but we want to search for that page also. So I have to say here firstly slash index.php, and then I have to find, is there any argument? So is underscore args. If there is argument, then give that argument. So that's good. So remember, there is no slash, there is no dash, dollar is underscore args, dollar args. Then we have to uncomment this one. Okay, so firstly this one, let's uncomment location php, and then here the fast CGI pass Unix. This is actually the path of PHP FPM, which convert the request, but we are using 7.2 PHP, so 7.2 hyphen fpm dot socket, and let's remove this one also. So everything is good. let's now close this. So escape colon wq, and this is good. But if I now go to cd inside var www, yeah, we have HTML folder, but inside HTML folder we don't have the project. Our project is inside our root HTML folder. So cd HTML, and yeah, we have this. So you can see it's on root, not on var www HTML. So let's now do one thing. Let's go to this, and I will say move this HTML to var slash www slash HTML, but we have to move this into HTML, so we don't have to provide HTML here. Okay, so let's hit enter, and that should be var. Okay, and now it says directory not empty. The directory we have on var www and this HTML, we have seen that that's not empty, so why not delete that? So remove rf HTML, and it says permission denied. Okay, run as a sudo, and yes. So if I now list no HTML, this means go to base and then sudo move HTML to var www. Yeah, we have done that. And now cd var www and list out the contents. This means we have the HTML, and this means if I now go inside HTML and list out contents, yeah, we have this. So let's go here and refresh, and it says again 403 forbidden, not 404, nothing else, forbidden. That is because we have changed the Nginx, but we have not restarted the Nginx. So sudo service Nginx restart. So there is a way to check Nginx is working properly or not. So I will say Nginx -t, and you can see it says some error we have on our Nginx. Could not open file log error.log. Okay, so let's try this with sudo Nginx -t. Okay, so test is successful. This means we have some problem on Nginx configuration. So sudo etc Nginx sites -available /default and all these things opening with vim. So vim. Okay, so the important thing we have missed out, we have to uncomment this one also, include snippets fast cgi php.conf. This means if I now save and quit and sudo service Nginx restart. Okay, so let's now go to Safari and reload, and this is good. At least we are getting some Laravel related thing, and we know about this. So there is an important thing which is related to permissions, I know. So you can see it says permission denied, so you know that it's because of the permission. So here we just have to say sudo chmod and then -R 777 for storage. So we are providing storage read write execute permissions. So let's hit enter. No storage file because we have to go inside cd var www html, and now run that command. Okay, that's good. Go refresh, and you can see Laravel is here. So congratulations, everything is set up here. So what important thing you have to do, if you ever make changes on your GitHub, what you have to do, you just have to say git pull. Okay, So git pull will get the changes and do everything. So it says already up to date. If you change something, it will do the change here and everything works fine. So let's now connect our Laravel app to our database. We have installed the MySQL. So if I type here MySQL on our server, okay, we have to provide the username as root and then also the password, which is 123456 for this time. So show databases. So you can see we have this database we have. So now let's now create a new database. So create database, and this database name is tutorial. Okay, tutorial, that's great, but again my mistake. We have to provide semicolon before pressing the enter. Okay, so it is done, and let's now exit from here and let's go to var www html, and I will open .env in vim. So vim is good. Go to insert mode by pressing I, and database we have created just, which is tutorial, and then username is root. So root and password is 123456. So escape colon wq, and everything is good. This means if I say php artisan make auth, it will create authentication scaffolding. This means now we will get login and register buttons here. So refresh, and yes, we have. So now let's register new user here. So Sarthak here, then Sarthak at bitfumes.com 123456 123456, and click on this register button, and we have this. Okay, unknown database. I have misspelled the database. So open in vim, go to database name. I think you have spotted this problem. Okay, so not a big deal, and let's refresh once more. Okay, so it says user not exist. This means we have to run php artisan migrate. This will create these tables, and now if I run send this once more, and yes, we have successfully logged in. This means everything is good. So here if I go to MySQL, okay, again root, and then password is 123456. so show database, and this time I know we have to provide the semicolon and databases, and then we have this tutorials database. So the last thing remains is that let's connect the database with our SQL Pro, because we have the habit of viewing the database on these kind of platforms. So let's name it tutorial and give the IP address here, and then root the MySQL username, and then password is 123456, then database name tutorial, and standard port 3306, again IP address, and comes the username and the SSH key, and again that has to be the secret one, not public one, and the port is 22. Connect, and you can see we have successfully connected, and we have this Sarthak at bitfumes.com. This is the user we have created on our server. So in this way we can connect it to database on DigitalOcean server. So as our app is successfully installed or deployed on Ubuntu server via DigitalOcean, it's time to have the queue worker on our Laravel app. In the localhost, we just run php artisan queue work, but this will not the case in the server. In the server, you need to have a service called supervisor. That's right, supervisor. But what this supervisor will do, it will continuously run that command. So firstly we need to install it. So let's see how we can install. Before going to the installation process, I highly recommend you to go to bitfumes.com, where I have written each and every step with the codes you need on this episode, or even on this whole the course of deploying Laravel to Ubuntu server. You can see this course having 7 blocks or 7 articles, and we need this setting up the queue worker. Okay, so let's click here, and to install we need to run this command. So let's run this command. So here we have this command. Let's run it, and it will asking for continuous. Yeah, we want to continue. Okay, it's super easy. Supervisor is installed. Let's see the next command. Okay, so we have installed the supervisor, but we have to create a new configuration file for our Laravel queue. How we will do that, let's first see. So let's go to cd inside etc folder, and because we have installed the supervisor, we can see we have a folder or a directory inside this. So if I list out content, I will see supervisor directory. So let's go inside supervisor, and inside this we have conf.d directory. Here in this conf.d directory, we are going to put our configuration file. So again, let's cd inside conf.d. You can just cd etc/supervisor/conf.c. So we have to firstly create a new file. To create a new file, you can use this command sudo vim etc supervisor conf.dqworker.conf. So let's just paste this, but because I'm already on this directory, I don't have to say here all these things. So I can delete this, or you can just go to root of this user and run this. So what this command will do, this command run as a sudo, it's going to create a new file called q-worker.conf. .conf is important, but this can be any name you want. So let's just hit enter, and yeah, we are on Vim, and now we have to give the configurations. So what the configurations we have to give here? Whole of the configuration is written in this article I have told you. So just copy this from here and paste it. And what it will do, let's just see one by one. So firstly, it's not properly pasted and I have missed something. So I have to say here program colon q hyphen worker. Okay, so this has to be important. The file name we have given, that has to be exactly same here, and this is done. We don't have to do anything else. So let's just give here. Okay, and let's first understand what every line do. This is going to define the program name, that is q worker, and the same is here process name is also the same. And now the actual command is php artisan q work. Yeah, that's okay, but where this artisan is inside our Ubuntu server, it's inside var www html folder, and inside that we will going to run artisan. So php then artisan q work, super easy. Then we have to say auto start. Yeah, true, every time we want to auto start, auto restart also, and username root, number of process. So it will process 8 times any job if it is not successful on the first attempt. Then some of the logs are written on this project worker.log file. So this is good. So press escape :wq and hit enter. It is saved now. So let's see what the next process. Okay, so we have done and we have understand these lines. So we need to read. Okay, so what this mean? We have done a new configuration for supervisor, but we have not told supervisor to read that. So we have to say sudo supervisor and supervisor ctl. It's like command line tool. Okay, so ctl supervisor ctl, then read, and you can see it says queue worker is available. It's now available. It says available. This means it's not included in the service. So to include in the service, we have to say sudo supervisorctl update. Same thing, but here come update. And now added to the process group. So this means it's added to the process group, but how we will check that our queue worker is working properly or not? For that, let's just clone that repository, that deploy repository, and create a new queue thing. So I will open a folder, and in this folder I will going to copy. So I will say git clone and all these things, and let's say deploy. So it's now cloning each and everything. Okay, passphrase, that's good, and it's now here. So if I say cd deploy, so let's open this project in Sublime. So subl, and here we have. So let's go to web.php file, and here I will create a new route, and that route will be like get of check queue. Okay, and let's give a closer, and here I will say firstly mail to Bitfumes sarthak@bitfumes.com, and then we have to say send a new test mail, and it's done. Then just going to return working. Okay, and we have to create this test mail. So let's go here, and I will say php artisan make mail and test mail, which is going to create it on app mail test mail. And here we have to make sure that we implement should queue. So we have to make this as a should queue, and now let's just going to give welcome page as the email. So we just need to have these things at the top, use these things at the top. So mail is here, test mail is here, and now everything we have to push on GitHub. So now we have to firstly add everything to staging area, then git commit with the flag of queue worker, and that should be worker, and then we have to say git push, and this will push everything to our GitHub. So give the ssh key password, and yes, we have done everything. Now let's go to our server. Here what I will do, you can see I am on the base user folder, and let's go to var www html, and here we have to say git pull. We have pushed to GitHub, now we have to pull everything, and if this is the case, permission denied, then use sudo, and then we have to give the password for this user, and now it's going to get everything. This means if we try to open routes slash web.php file, you can see our check queue is here, and let's now quit from here. That means escape colon and queue, and now we have to create the queue table. So php artisan queue table, and it's created, migration is created, and this time php artisan migrate. So we don't have any jobs table, but after this we will see we have jobs table on our server database. So this means if I now go to Safari, and here I will say check queue, hit enter, it's taking time and it's something error. That's because we have not configured our .env file. So let's say sudo vim.env, and okay, and now we have to configure firstly the queue driver. You can see queue driver is sync, but we don't want sync one, we want database, and then obviously the mail trap username and password. Username is that and password is this, then tls and wq. Okay, quit saving. So this means if I now go refresh this, instantly we get working. And if I now go to jobs table, it has the job and it's not attempting. This means we have to restart the supervisor. So sudo supervisor ctl reload. Okay, and this is reloaded. And one thing more, we have to say supervisor, that should be like sudo service supervisor restart. Okay, everything is set up. So once more refresh, and we should get one more here, and you can see the attempt is 1. This means if I keep refreshing, it's not here. And now go to Chrome and see, here we have the test mail which we have sent. So let's delete everything and once more try here and refresh this. Yes, it's working. So wait for just a few seconds, and 5 4 3 2 1 and mail is here. So Q worker is successfully working on our Ubuntu server. So if you have learned something from Bitfumes and you want to donate, just go and become Patreon. Even $1 a month will be a great help. And if not, just subscribe to this channel, because here Laravel knowledge never ends. And don't forget to share these videos with your developer friends so that everyone get the knowledge of best thing called Laravel. So we will meet in the new series somewhat, and till then, goodbye.